No, it's.
Number 16.
With the letters and everything?
Yes. The letters and the numbers.
Ryan looks like she's gotten slimmer.
She's getting taller too.
But I love the game. We was like, she's gotten slim.
Mm-hmm. She has.
She's older.
Of course, she played volleyball and soccer in the fall, and now she's playing basketball, so she's doing a lot of running.
Well,
That'll do it to anybody.
The older she gets,
Mhm.
She is gonna be
Mhm.
taller.
Because I used to be a chunky
Mhm.
monkey too. I still am a chunky monkey, but not as chunky. Yeah.
Now, in the directions, it says to find the sine of J, meaning the sine of angle J, cosine of J, tangent J, sine L, cosine L, tangent L. Okay. So it's a lot. Like there's like basically 6 problems in this for this one triangle. So just make a list. Right now we'll do the J. So sine J, cosine J, and tangent J.
So what we done up there?
Yes, except we're going to use the numbers. And so for all 3 of these, you just kind of, in your mind, pretend that you are standing on J when you decide opposite and adjacent. So the sine of J is the opposite leg over the hypotenuse. And how long is the leg that's opposite from J?
30.
So we're going to put 30 on top. And how long is the hypotenuse? 34. We're going to come back and simplify that in just a second, but we're going to go through and set them all up first. Excuse me. So for cosine J, we need the adjacent leg over the hypotenuse. Now the hypotenuse has not changed, so I'm going to go ahead and put the 34 on the bottom. The leg that is adjacent is the 16. What? Go ahead.
I just need to know where you find the opposite. How do you find the opposite?
Pretend you are standing on this corner right here. Okay. You're looking for which side of the triangle is the opposite leg. Because there's 2 legs in this triangle. This is a leg and this is a leg. And the opposite one is the one that you're not touching, and that's the 30. And the adjacent one is the one that you are touching, and that's the 16. Did that answer your question? Okay. And then tangent of J, tangent is opposite over adjacent, so that's going to be 30 over 16. It's always going to be the top number of the sine over the top number of the cosine. So that helps too. Now, it does say in the directions,
What did you just say?
this is not required knowledge, but I was just pointing out that tangent is always going to be this top number over the sine over cosine. Now, it does say to express each ratio as a fraction and as a decimal to the nearest hundredth. So we need to reduce these fractions because they can all be reduced, and then we're just going to take our calculator and type it in to get the decimal. So for 30 over 34, what's a number that goes into both of those?
4, 2.
4 is not going to go into 30, but 2 will go into both of them. I think that's going to be the biggest. So 2 goes into 30 15 times. 2 goes into 34 17 times. And then 2, I think, is going to be the only one we can use on the next. So 2 goes into 16 8 times. 2 goes into 34 17 times. And then on the last one, 2 goes into 30 15 times. 2 goes into 16 8 times. And then take your calculator and just type in for sine Excuse me. Type in 15 divided by 17. It's going to give you a big long decimal. The directions say to round to the nearest hundredth. If I'm rounding to the nearest hundredth, that's going to be 2 decimal places. However, I'm going to change that because it is in your best interest to round to 4 decimal places, which would be the nearest 10,000. So 4 decimal places when you're doing these numbers. So in my calculator, that is 0.8823, and then there's a 5 after it. The 5 is going to make the 3 become a 4. So that's going to be
Well, I got the wrong number. So what I do?
0.8824. Did you put the 15 in first?
Yeah, 15 divided by 17.
Yeah.
I got 0.015.
No. Don't hit sign or anything. Just literally type in 15 divided by 17. That's all. No sign button. 15 divided by 17.
No, I got 0.
So where do we start rounding, or where do we start rounding from, or whatever?
Okay, hang on just a second.
So it should be 0.
Type in 8 divided by 17 to get the decimal for that. So it's 0.4706.
Why are you doing the squiggly lines instead of straight lines?
Because it's not exact, because we're having to round. Anytime you're having to round, that's technically a squiggly line, because it means approximately. That's one of those technicalities that I'm not going to be real picky about. Go ahead.
Never mind.
And then
What if you
15.
don't have 4 decimal?
Yeah, that's what I asked.
Oh, if it doesn't go that far, then just stop wherever it stops and just put them all. Don't round anything. Like if it stopped at 0.325, then you just write all that down. Don't round
You
anything.
don't round?
Right. And then 15 divided by. Is that what happens on the next one?
Yes.
Okay.
1.8.
Yeah, just write the whole thing down.
I don't know if
1.875.
it was a fluke or not, but I divided 30 by 16 and got the same thing.
That's not a fluke because these two fractions have the same value, so they should come out to the same decimal. It's just that this is the reduced form of that. Just like 2/4 and 1/2 would still come out to 0.5. Okay, now do the same thing for sine, cosine, and tangent of L. Now I'm not going to talk this one out loud. I'm going to write it down as I'm going, but I want you to work it on your paper and just look up and check and see if you got the same numbers I did. I'm not going to talk you through it.
Okay, I'm confused. On the last one, did we put the 1, or did we only go 3 numbers because it was only 3 numbers?
Because it stopped. Yeah, when you type that in, it stops right there.
And if it's any number besides 0 before the decimal, you write it down. And then you go 4 numbers after it. Did you say L?
Yeah. Oh, that's cutting off to the far right, isn't it? I don't know why it does that. Nope, I did it wrong. It cut off the decimal on the far right, so I'll tell you what they say.
What's the number that made you think rank for the next number?
5 and up. The sine and cosine just came out of the same decimals as the first one except swap. And then the last decimal is 0.5333. It cut off on the screen. I haven't figured out yet what's causing that, so. So there's room on the screen, it's just like the projection cuts off. I don't know why. Okay. That's the beginning of it. Now on number 8. This is where what we just did was like practicing setting up sine, cosine, and tangent. The point of even using it is for problems like number 8, where you have a side that's missing, like some piece of missing information that you need to figure out, and that's where it's really useful. So on number 8, go ahead and copy that triangle onto your paper. Yes. This is the biggest thing that we're going to use sine, cosine, and tangent for.
Do you have to find the other angle?
You don't have to.
Usually they're not giving us a certain
Do it now.
angle.
How do you know whether to use sine, cosine, or tangent?
Yeah.
I will tell you that. That's the thing that people have the hardest time with. Here's how you decide if you're going to use sine, cosine, or tangent for this problem. Imagine yourself standing on the 52, the one angle that you have. Okay, picture yourself standing on that angle. You're looking for x. Is x opposite leg, adjacent leg, or hypotenuse? X is the opposite leg. I'm going to write that down. All right, you're still standing on the 52. What is the 13? Opposite, adjacent, or hypotenuse? It's the adjacent leg. Which one uses opposite and adjacent at the same time?
That'd be
The TOA part of SOHCAHTOA, right? Okay, and that's tangent. That's how you know which one to use. You start at the angle and then decide where the sides are that you're working with. Okay, now I just wrote down that stuff to help us decide which one we're using. That's not something you would have to write down, but it's something I would write down a lot at the beginning until you get used to it. So now let's set up the equation that's going to help us. Tangent of 52. Because it's always sine, cosine, or tangent of an angle. Equals. Now we know that tangent is opposite over adjacent. So that means it's going to be x over 13. First thing I need to do is take my calculator, okay, type in tangent 52. Just hit the tan button and then 52. Or some of your calculators, you may have to hit the 52 first and then the tangent. And it should come out to 1.2799. If you got something different, raise your hand. I need to come look at your calculator. Okay.
Don't do the shift. Because that was the only way you could do it, so it would have to work.
Anybody else get something besides 1.2799? Okay, that's a good thing. That means they're all in the right mode. If it gets in like radians instead of degrees, then it gets all messed up. Yes, ma'am? It didn't. All right, so all we did now was change the tangent of 52 to 1.2799, and then write down equals x over 13.
Have you got this?
Yes. I'll give them back. If x is on the top and you have a number on the bottom, you're going to multiply that number times 1.2799. So it's going to be 1.2799 times 13, and that's going to give you your x. So for some of you, you can just leave the decimal in there. After you find the tangent of 52, just leave that decimal in there and just hit times 13 and be done with it.
And what do we round to on this?
Okay, we are going to round the nearest hundredth on this. When you get to your final answer, you round to the nearest hundredth.
So 16.4.
16.64.
You meant what I heard. That's right.
So, when I put this in my calculator, 1.2799 times 13, it comes out to 16.
Oh, so you want us to round it?
Yes. Here's what we're going to do. And you can write this down if you want to so you don't forget. You're going to round final answers to the nearest hundredth. Or 2 decimal places. Everything else to 4.
Then why do we round that one?
To 2. Why do we do our final 1 to 2? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, but is that the final answer?
Yeah.
16 point.
Yeah.
We not just ran that one to the.
Nearest 10? Is that what you're trying to say?
Well, sometimes the numbers we're gonna need more precision than nearest tenth sometimes on some problems. So that's why we're going 2 decimal places. But 4 would be overkill. The biggest thing is, like, with the sine, cosine, and tangent, these numbers that you get when you type that in, a lot of them are gonna be really, really close. And, I mean, they're all gonna be decimals. Tangent is the only one that's even gonna be bigger than 1. The rest of them are gonna be less than 1. So we're taking it out 4 decimal places, because otherwise we all have like 0.8, 0.6, it's just not enough information. So we have to take these 4 decimal places, so everything in the middle, we're gonna take 4 decimal places. The final answer, we can just take 2. So, I mean, that's just kinda like the way everybody always does it. That's what we're gonna stick with, just to make sure when you get to another math class, it's gonna be pretty much the same way. Let's do another one of these. Let's do, number 10 is a good one. Let's do that one. Draw the triangle.
Why are they writing the number on the outside?
What do you mean? Like the 19? Do it?
Never mind.
Okay. All right, now in this problem, everything revolves around the 27. Okay, everything revolves around the angle. Whatever angle you're given, everything's going to revolve around that. So, if you're standing on the 27, then what part of the triangle is x? Is it the opposite leg, the adjacent leg, or the hypotenuse? It's adjacent, okay, because it's, my 27-degree angle is right here, and x is on the leg that's part of that angle. So that's adjacent. So write down x is adjacent.
Are we doing this the same way we did the other one?
I mean, the same thought process anyway. It may look a little different as we go, though. Just depends on what we end up using. And 19 is, it's the hypotenuse of the triangle. So adjacent and hypotenuse go with what? Which is cosine.
How is the 19 that,
Because it is the side that is across from the right angle. So the cosine of 27 equals, and it has to be adjacent over hypotenuse, so it's going to be x over 19. So when I type in cosine, not really, because I don't have since it's not on paper, I don't have a way to like scroll it.
No, it wasn't on paper.
I can move it over here though, let's see. So the cosine of 27 is 0.8910 equals x over 19. And I'm going to multiply 0.8910 times 19 to get x. And I get 16.93. The 9 that's after the 2 is going to make the 2 a 3. Okay, turn and look at number 28. We're going to do that one together because that one works out a little differently.
Oh, I didn't get that last part.
What you been doing?
Trying to see over everybody's heads.
Oh,
What'd you say?
trying to make Stacy smile.
Stacy. What number did you say?
28.
No, have you seen Full House? Where he saves some shell and
Teachers, pardon the interruption. I need freshmen with the last name A through M to go to the compound to have picture retakes at this time. Freshmen, last name A through M for picture retakes at this time at the compound.
they should join us first.
I agree. But
We had a bunch of juniors that didn't come and take their picture, last time, cause they didn't want to. So the Life Touch man said that we could get their pictures from freshman year and put it in there.
I like that.
Do it.
Okay, so this time we're standing on 21. That's our angle. All right, so if you didn't hear Kayla, then what part of the triangle is the X? Yes. And 11 is? 11's the opposite leg. Hypotenuse and opposite go with what? Mm-hmm. So the sine of 21 equals, now you have to put opposite over hypotenuse, so you have to put 11 over x. Make sure you put 11 over x. So this one's a little bit different because the x is on the bottom of the fraction this time. Okay. Go ahead and get a decimal for the sine of 21. And that is going to be 0.3584 equals 11 over x. We will divide. X equals 11 divided by 0.3584.
Wait, what are we dividing?
The short answer is because x is on the bottom. Is that good enough? Okay. So I get that x is 30.69. Hang on. I got 69.